Everybody, welcome. Glad you're here. We're going to go over some of the IES lighting basics. And if you've not done this before, this would be very good for you to do. If you want to achieve real world lighting, it's going to look like something out of a seminar chart, but it's very useful. So the Kelvin color temperatures chart is what we're going to use, and we're going to cross-reference it with a basic LED reference example. So if we have something like 1000 Kelvin, it's going to look like a candle. If we've got 10,000 Kelvin, it's going to look like a blue sky. And everything in between that are ways to achieve excellent real-world lighting, which you would find in kitchens, you would find in street lights, you would find in daylight, and all kinds of other things represented by the LED display over here. Now, what is an IES texture? Which is going to go in here. Well, IES textures are simply put, a company goes in and they make a product, and the product is going to have a 3D representation so they can sell it. And if you go in and you can choose just tons and tons of manufacturers and lights, you can find something that looks like this. And if you want, you could turn a point lights spray from an omni light to a directional light, and it's a very cool way to go. And as far as Blender is concerned, I wouldn't want to try to achieve realistic lighting in any other way, period. Okay, so let's go ahead, and my add-on actually does this, but I'm not going to do it with the add-on. I'm just going to use the add-on to assist a little bit. And I did drop in one of these scenes with the morning mood facade. Okay, so killing that camera, just drop in a point light, and we'll bring it up and kind of bring it up against the wall just a little bit, something like that. Jump over to cycles so that you can see how this thing's going to look. And if I just hit Alt X with this light grabbed, I can change the light. You can see how this looks. This is literally spraying the light completely in all directions. This is going everywhere. It's not necessarily getting to the corners right, but that's just due to not having it rendered, not enough samples for sure. And so that's like a basic breakdown on the Omni light. Okay, and I personally love point lights. I think they produce a lot of great lighting, but if you don't know how to enhance them, then it's definitely a pain. So with that light selected, let's go over here and click Use Nodes under the Lighting tab in the Data Properties. What's going to happen is you're going to get two nodes. You're going to get a light emission and a light output. And we're going to need to make some connections to these so we can adjust not only the IES texture, but the black body intensity, which is going to be represented by the 1000 to 7000 K here. But of course, we can put in more than that if we want. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to hit Shift AS and type in IES. I'll get an IES texture, and I can plug that directly into the strength. I'll click External because I want an external IES, and I downloaded an entire pack. Suggest you guys do the same thing. And when you've got this pack installed, you can go through, turn on the icons, and you can see exactly how this thing's going to look per the PNG file. And so if I come down to some kind of spread like this, which is really nice, and actually I like this one because it goes two posts or top post. Don't turn on the PNG, even though that would probably work very well for my facade. You can actually grab the IES, and you want to plug that in to the IES texture. Okay. Now the second node you're going to want is Shift AS, and you're going to want to type in black for black body, and that is going to be the black body intensity. I can plug that directly in, and what you're going to get when you first start this up is going to be just a big wash of light, more than likely, and it's not going to look good because you're down in that candle range, and so it's not going to look too good. So we can go ahead per the chart and probably jump it straight up to around 3000. And for the strength, the light, I was kind of playing with it. It got to 40 watts. We don't want that. We actually want 0, but we can't really achieve 0 because it won't work. So 0.001 for for the intensity. Make sure your radius is set to 0. Come here and bring the strength of the IES texture up to something like 10. You can bring a little higher if you want. Just whatever works good for you. And you can see that is exactly what we had. This is a point light that is now producing this 2-pole light going down with some extra lighting around it. And this is exactly what the manufacturer intended for it to do. And as you can see, I'll hide this for a second. That's a lot more natural and a lot more warm lighting than we actually had before. And so that puts us around a halogen light. And if you want to put this up with a more natural white light, we can grab the light again. And for the black body intensity, I could bring this up to 4,000. And that's going to be a little bit nicer, but what I'm really wanting to do is I'm actually wanting to bring this all the way up to 10 eventually, but my sweet spot where I think I really want this is about 5,300, just above the cloudy sky. And so I think that's going to look pretty good. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll bring this up a little bit more, somewhere around 5,500 just to start. And that looks pretty good. That's just before you get to the cloudy sky, probably right in the middle there. And then if we jump up to 7,000, then you get the cool white, or this representation of the LED, and it's dead on. It looks great. Not necessarily the lighting I would want for that room. And of course I could bring the strength of this down. It doesn't have to be that strong for sure, but just for the purposes of showing it, kind of keep it kind of high. And now if we want to jump all the way up, go all the way up to 10,000, and that is a perfect clear blue sky, which would work really nice with a light from outside. And if you want, and I got a little fresh copy of Blender here, and you're using the add-on, I'm going to upload this version tonight. You can just add an IES light, okay, and it's going to come in with the light property already down to 1 milliwatt. And so from right here, you don't have to like screw around with anything. If you happen to just be in a different area, you can grab your IES texture from here and load it up just fine. And I'll just go ahead and choose anything, doesn't matter. Jump over into cycles and you kind of bring this up against the wall a little bit. Now I'll just click set up IES nodes and it does everything for you automatically. So from here, if you were to go into the shader editor, you'll see that all of these settings are already locked in for you, and it loads that texture. So in real time, if you want, you come back over here and choose like a different light setup, and it's going to automatically load that up for you. And then of course you don't have to be in that screen. You can change the texture strength and everything from here. And so if I want to kind of bring that up a little bit for the texture strength, then I've got the black body. Obviously that's like low, that's like a candle, right? So I'll hit 5,000 or so, and then I can bring this up to like maybe 150, which is about where it's supposed to be. And then you get a very nice background with that light. Right about here, you really start seeing how that looks. And let me throw a little, I do have a texture on there, so we're good. And of course you can play around with this in a lot of different ways to make it look really, really nice. And you can actually see the cutoff right here from the IES texture, where it does it and how it does it. I don't know all of those answers, but I do know it cuts it off just like it was actually showing in the product itself, which is pretty darn cool. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. Smash that subscribe, smash that like button. You can go pick up this add-on. You can get the Light Manager Pro free. This one is just ever growing, and I'll have a bunch of actual preset IES lights in here very soon. I do have this one light set up right here for the shadow light, which is pretty darn cool. You can create facade backgrounds with this one and a lot of different things. And of course you've got the Alt X, so you can kind of bring these lights up and down. And then once you've got that light in there and you want, you could go over and do some modifications with this thing and change it around. You could add a bunch of different colors to it, change all the colors like really quick, and add some very neat effects. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. Let's get started.